In 1896, most of Africa was being conquered. European empires stretched across the continent. One kingdom after another disappeared beneath foreign flags. Many believed Africa's future had already been decided. But in the mountains of Ethiopia, a different story was unfolding. An emperor named Menelik II refused to surrender. An empress named Taytu Betul refused to kneel. And together, they would lead one of the greatest victories in African history. A victory so shocking that newspapers across Europe struggled to explain it. A victory that would make Ethiopia a symbol of African independence for generations. This is the true story of the Battle of Adwa. During the late 19th century, Africa became the center of one of the largest land grabs in human history. European nations raced to claim territory across the continent. Britain expanded from Egypt to South Africa. France pushed deep into West Africa. Germany established colonies across East and Southwest Africa. Belgium claimed the Congo. Portugal strengthened its control along the coasts. Maps were redrawn in European capitals. Borders were created by men who had never seen the lands they were dividing. Entire kingdoms suddenly found themselves facing foreign armies. For many African societies, the consequences were devastating. Traditional rulers lost power. Communities were divided. Resources were extracted. Resistance movements were crushed. By the 1890s, only a handful of African states remained independent. One of those nations was Ethiopia, protected by mountains, united by a long history, and led by an emperor who understood exactly what was happening across Africa. His name was Menelik II. While European leaders viewed Ethiopia as another future colony, Menelik saw the threat coming. He modernized his military, purchased modern rifles, strengthened alliances, expanded roads and communications, and quietly prepared for a war that many believed was inevitable. Because sooner or later, the colonial powers would come for Ethiopia too. In 1889, Italy believed it had found a way to control Ethiopia without firing a shot. A treaty was signed between Italy and Emperor Menelik II. The agreement became known as the Treaty of Wuchale. At first glance, it appeared to be a standard diplomatic arrangement, but hidden within the treaty was a dangerous problem. The Italian version of the document contained language suggesting that Ethiopia would become an Italian protectorate. The Amharic version told a different story. Menelik believed the treaty allowed him to choose whether to use Italy in foreign affairs. Italy claimed the treaty made Ethiopia subordinate to Rome. The disagreement quickly became a crisis. When Menelik discovered the deception, he was furious. To him, this was not a misunderstanding. It was an attempt to steal Ethiopia's independence through paperwork. The emperor immediately rejected Italy's interpretation. He informed foreign governments that Ethiopia remained sovereign. He refused to recognize any claim of Italian control. The diplomatic conflict escalated. Neither side was willing to back down. War was no longer a possibility. War was becoming inevitable. And across Ethiopia, preparations began. As tensions increased, Menelik made a decision that would change history. He called upon Ethiopia to unite. The response was extraordinary. Messengers traveled across mountains, across valleys, across villages and towns. The emperor's message spread throughout the kingdom. Ethiopia was in danger. The nation must prepare. The call was answered. Farmers left their fields. Blacksmiths left their workshops. Priests blessed departing warriors. Local leaders assembled fighting forces. Entire communities contributed supplies. Women helped organize food and logistics. Families donated animals. Villages supported the war effort. The mobilization became one of the largest military gatherings in African history. Tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. By early 1896, Menelik commanded an enormous force, one unlike anything Italy expected. Many European observers assumed Ethiopia lacked organization. They assumed African armies would scatter before modern European troops. Those assumptions would soon prove disastrous, because the Ethiopian army that gathered beneath Menelik's banner was disciplined, motivated, and determined to defend its independence at any cost. By early 1896, the stage was set. Italian forces advanced through northern Ethiopia. Their commanders believed victory was only a matter of time. European newspapers predicted a quick campaign. Many assumed the outcome had already been decided. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian army continued growing. Warriors marched for weeks. Entire columns crossed mountains and valleys. Supply caravans stretched across the landscape. Menelik and Taytu personally supervised preparations. Every decision mattered. Every mile brought the two armies closer together. As February came to an end, the Ethiopian army approached Adwa. The mountains surrounding the region would soon become the site of one of the most important battles in African history. Neither side could avoid conflict now. The fate of Ethiopia would soon be decided. March 1, 1896. Before sunrise, thousands of Ethiopian warriors stood ready across the mountains near Adwa. The air was cold. The sky was dark. And both armies knew that history was about to be written. The Italian commanders believed they still held the advantage. Their soldiers carried modern rifles. They had artillery. They had professional military training. Most importantly, they underestimated their enemy. Italian officers believed the Ethiopian army was disorganized. They believed African forces would break under pressure. They believed victory was inevitable. But they were wrong. Very wrong. During the night, Italian units attempted to move into position. The terrain was difficult. The mountains were confusing. Maps were inaccurate. Communication broke down. Entire units became separated from one another. By dawn, the Italian army was divided, and Menelik's scouts had already discovered the mistake. The Ethiopian commanders acted immediately. Orders spread across the battlefield. Warriors moved into position. Thousands upon thousands of Ethiopians surged forward. Gunfire erupted. Artillery thundered across the mountains. Smoke filled the valleys. The Battle of Adwa had begun. Wave after wave of Ethiopian warriors advanced. Italian soldiers fought desperately, but they quickly realized something was wrong. The enemy was far larger than expected. Far more organized than expected, and far more determined than expected. Throughout the morning, the battle intensified. Entire mountain slopes became battlefields. The sound of rifles echoed across the landscape. Menelik directed operations from strategic positions. His commanders coordinated attacks across multiple fronts. Meanwhile, Empress Taytu played a critical role supporting Ethiopian forces and logistics. The Italian lines began to buckle, then collapse. The battle that was supposed to secure an empire was becoming a disaster. When news of the battle reached Europe, many people simply could not believe it. Newspapers rushed to publish reports. Governments demanded explanations. Military leaders studied the outcome. For decades, European armies had expanded across Africa with little resistance. Now a major European power had suffered a devastating defeat. And it had happened at the hands of an African nation. Across Africa, the victory became a symbol of hope. People living under colonial rule heard the story. Many saw Ethiopia as proof that resistance was possible. That colonial conquest was not inevitable. That independence could be defended. Meanwhile, Italy faced national humiliation. The government came under enormous pressure. Political leaders struggled to explain the defeat. The dream of an easy empire had collapsed in the mountains of Ethiopia, and Emperor Menelik II became internationally famous. World leaders who had once underestimated Ethiopia suddenly viewed it very differently. The Battle of Adwa had changed global perceptions forever. The victory at Adwa achieved something extraordinary. Ethiopia remained independent. At a time when much of Africa was under colonial rule, the nation preserved its sovereignty. Menelik used the victory wisely. He strengthened Ethiopia's position internationally, expanded modernization efforts, built stronger diplomatic relationships, and continued developing the country. The victory was more than a military achievement. It became a statement, a declaration that Ethiopia would determine its own future. For generations, the Battle of Adwa became one of the most celebrated moments in Ethiopian history, a reminder that independence had been defended through sacrifice and courage. More than a century later, the Battle of Adwa remains one of the most important events in African history. Its significance extends far beyond Ethiopia. Historians continue studying the battle, leaders continue referencing its lessons, and millions continue drawing inspiration from its story. Because Adwa was never simply a military victory. It was proof that determination could overcome overwhelming odds, proof that unity could defeat division, and proof that history is not always written by the most powerful empire. Sometimes, history is written by the people who refuse to surrender. On March 1, 1896, an African nation accomplished what many believed was impossible. Against the expectations of the world's most powerful empires, Ethiopia stood its ground. The victory at Adwa became one of the defining moments in African history, not because it changed a single battle, but because it changed what people believed was possible. More than a century later, the names Menelik II and Taytu Betul still inspire millions, because when the future of their nation was threatened, they refused to surrender. And in doing so, they changed history. What do you think? Was the Battle of Adwa one of the greatest victories in African history? Could any other African battle have had a greater impact on the continent's future? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story inspired you, please like, share, follow, and subscribe for more powerful African history documentaries. Because some of the greatest stories ever told are true, and many of them happened right here in Africa.